Okay. What do you say? What do you say, Kim? Do you want me to start?
I think we can do it.
Okay, and then let's start.
Yeah. I will put the mute.
Okay, so good evening and welcome to the first online meetup of Magenta Codes. Tech industry needs more women. Where to start if you're a technology beginner? We are very excited to share with you, especially during these uncertain times, and give you some tools and inspiration to start a career in technology. So first, our code of conduct. We must remind you to please keep your microphone muted at all times. After every talk, we will have a 5-minute space for questions for our speakers. So please feel free to do them through our chat. And at the end, we will formulate the questions for them. Because of this, we expect everyone to communicate in a respectful and constructive manner. So because it's an online conference, we're gonna have to move fast. Whoever violates this conduct will be banned. The last part of our code of conduct is legal consent. So this talk is being recorded to distribute around our social media. When you register and participate in our events, you are agreeing that your image, name, or audio can be used. So if you do not agree, please tell us through our chat or contact us at hi@magenta.codes. We also invite you to share your experience and inspire and help other women. Please remember to mention us at Magenta Codes and Women Tech Makers with the hashtag More Women in Tech through Twitter, Instagram, and also Meetup. So whoever has agreed to this code of conduct and our legal consent, we want to take a picture for our social media. So please, if you can, turn on your cameras and let's take a picture. Joanna, do you see everyone?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to turn on your cameras.
1 second. Over the ball of your camera. Yeah, hi everyone.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Great. Did you took it?
Yes.
So perfect. Let's continue then. This is the schedule that we have for today. We will tell you a bit about ourselves and Magenta Codes. Sorry. And we will also have 3 talks. One, how to design your IT career. Then we will move on with introduction to UI, UX, and how design relates to digital products. And last, how to success as a full stack JavaScript engineer. And finally, we will have some closing remarks. So who is Magenta Codes? Who are we? Let us introduce ourselves. My name is Alejandra Ferreira. I am from Colombia, and I have been living in Sweden for a year. I am a microbiologist and full-time mom, but decided to start a new career here in Sweden in technology. Currently, I work for a legal tech startup as a project manager and full-stack developer. I am also a co-founder here in Magenta Codes, and I am today's moderator. Here is the rest of the team.
Hey, my name is Dunia Rivas. I am from Bolivia, and I have been in Sweden for more than a year. I studied system engineer, and I have worked as a data engineer in my country. Currently, I work remotely for a company in my country as a recruiter, and I continue studying data engineer and also English.
Hi everyone, welcome to Magenta Codes. I'm very happy sharing my time with you. My name is Johanna Salinas. I am a system engineer student. I am leader in data science trends, Magenta Cons, and I am ambassador at the Women's Data Science and Women's SageMaker. Welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
So, we want to tell you how this community started. Magenta Codes is an initiative that started with some expat women that were entering or already in the field of technology and faced many barriers to access information, education, or job opportunities because especially of their immigrant status, being full-time partners also, or moms, and all the way that comes with this, you know. We got together when we exchanged ideas and saw the challenges that all of us face as technology beginners in a new country, especially we did not speak the language. So now we created this community with initiatives of inclusion, support, development, and gender equality in this current technological revolution and economical climate. This is with alignment with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, especially goal number 5 related to gender equality. Currently, we are also under the wings of Women Tech Makers, a Google community that supports women in the tech ecosystem. And now we want to introduce our first speaker, Carolina Londoño. She is currently working as a data engineer at Accelerated. She's living in Amsterdam, previously worked with startups as a backend developer, and also working on her own projects. Before this, she works as a support engineer with customer service support. She's a member of some renowned communities such as Spy Ladies, Women Tech Makers, Pioneras Dev, and Data Science Fem. Welcome, Carolina.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Let me know when it's okay to start sharing my screen, okay? Can you hear me properly?
No.
No? Okay, 1 second. What about now? Better?
No.
No? Okay. Hold on.
I can hear you.
Yeah, what about now?
Yeah,
Is it better? Okay,
Yes.
so I will hold on to my microphone like this. It's okay if I start sharing my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Does everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone to my talk. Today I'm going to discuss how to design your IT career for everyone out there who want to start. Besides my previous introduction that was just made, of course, I'm a data engineer. I live here in Amsterdam. I also started mentoring here at Ladies Amsterdam. And besides everything else that was said, I also love to exchange knowledge and I love to travel and learn everything that I go. So this talk was inspired from research, my experience, and the tips that I gathered with my peers. And I hope you all enjoy it. So where do I begin? So usually when we want to start a career in technology, we don't know where to start. We see that people that are very successful, that are very happy with their careers, and we want to be like them, right? But not everyone has someone that knows someone that can help you with this career. And we don't really know the roles. We don't know what kind of problems are there to be resolved in a daily basis. So we don't have no clue how a work like this seems. And this is called the outsider problem. So how do you stop being an outsider? So you gotta go work with what you have. So we have the internet, who is always your friend. So you research in different portals. You might search in LinkedIn or directly in the company that you want to work for, and you'll find different kinds of roles. Some of them are complementary, some of them have similarities, some of them might differ a lot, and there are endless jobs. So you look through them and you see their actions and the technology they use, and you start resonating them with one of them, more of them. So in my case, I resonated more with data and backend engineering. So I started switching towards that kind of thing. So for instance, in my case, I started researching, and I just saw that I need to learn specific technologies, and some of them are more related to each other. So I will speak from my experience. So for instance, for being more into data engineering, I know that I had to learn Python, and I knew that I will be gravitating in this small cluster here. So I will be learning Pandas, Flash, Torch, PyTorch. So I will be gravitated towards this kind of technologies. So for instance, if you want to be a front-end developer, you will be gravitating towards this kind of technologies, and you will be moving towards any of these clusters. And this image will help you make sense with what technologies and what frameworks or languages you will be using the most, and which are more related to each other. So with this will also help you make sense of what makes sense to learn if you already have a skill or if you are a complete beginner. So it will be easier to learn, for instance, JavaScript if you already learn HTML and CSS, compared to if you learn HTML, CSS, and words, Apache, Spark, or Scala. So I hope you find this image useful to take into account for learning new technologies or languages. So as I mentioned before, every day there are new roles that are being created because there are new digital tasks that need to be resolved. So these are the new roles that are being created. These are the top 15 in the Netherlands. In the end, I have all of the reports that LinkedIn provided for different kind of countries. And if we see a pattern here, most of the top 15 emerging jobs are in the digital industry. And even the ones that are supposedly not so tech-related, they gravitate towards enabling technology. So for instance, human resources, administrative offer, and key account management specialists. Usually they are also working in the tech industry or supporting the tech jobs. So this is something very important to take into account. And you will also, there will be always jobs available for you to apply. So this is very encouraging. So now discussing statistics and the European market. So we see here that software engineering is one of the positions that are offered more jobs compared to the people that apply to the jobs. So if we see other industries, there are more people than jobs. So this is also very encouraging for you to take into account because there are jobs that need to be filled. Now discussing salaries, we also see that software engineering is one of the best paid. This is the European market. Also, the IT sysadmin and everything that gravitates in technology have the highest salaries compared to any other roles here in Europe. Now, compared to the global market, of course, the United States have higher salaries. Of course, they have different things that you have to take into account, that the cost of living and the healthcare industry, because healthcare is a lot more, is more expensive in the United States compared here in Europe. So if we compare to the Europe market, it's a lot higher. But this is very nice because we see that most of the positions have very good salaries. So I hope you take this into account, deciding the role that you want to apply for. So once you decide what role do you want to have, what tasks do you want to do every day, you start making a plan. And you have to educate yourself. You have to train, because you don't just apply to jobs without knowing anything. So these are the resources that I personally use. Of course, I included also some front-end things and some blogs that have general technologies that you can also consult and gain knowledge. You can also go to boot camps, to conferences, apply to different scholarships if you don't have enough money to pay for these kind of things. Some of these education platforms also offer scholarships for people who need support. And of course, the tech communities and the documentation are great places for you to start diving into the technical stuff. So besides educating yourself, it's also very important to surround yourself with people that help you in your career. So this includes the people with the same goals as you have. So I guess in this community, such as Magenta Codes, everyone wants to become a professional in technology. So you can get to know each other and help you out. So you can set goals so you can commit and finish the courses. I actually did this back in Colombia with Data Science Fem. We set up a goal to finish in a year a course of data science, and we all finished successfully. And this was good because every week we make like milestones of how far have you gotten in your studies and make sure that you actually learn this stuff. So besides working with people with the same goals, it's important to get in touch with other persons that are already working in the role you want. This way, you can learn from their successes and their failures. They can also give you tips, and of course, they can link you with available jobs as you make progress in your education. And they will take into account this for you to apply for the next offers that opens. And last but not least is the people that believe in you. This includes your friends, your family, and people that you are around every day. Because if you get discouraged, you won't make good progress in your studies. So I also want to share with you something that I find very interesting, which is the 6-degree theory. And this is say that each person in the world is connected to each other by 6 degrees. And degrees means people. So you're only 6 persons away from the person that you want to get in touch with. So let's say you want to connect with Bill Gates, you're only 6 persons away from him. So actually, Facebook made a study back in 2016 with the active people on Facebook. And we are connected by 3.5 degrees. But this is only for the people on Facebook. So we are more connected than we thought that we were. So once you start learning things, let's say you make courses, you already went to workshops, you connected with the right people, and you think you have all the knowledge you have. But probably you will hit a wall when you start building your own projects, because it's not the same thing finishing a course that making an holistic project that brings together everything that you just learned. So this is, I will say, the most important step towards building your career, because you will bring together, and this is where your brain start putting all the concepts together and start creating a project that you can showcase to the interviews that you will apply. And also you will start challenging yourself and start growing. And a very important thing is that you set deadlines, because sometimes you say, oh yes, I'm going to start building this amazing app that does this and does that. You might start it, but you might not finish it. So it's very important that you set deadlines and put it in production so you can showcase it in your portfolio. So when you start, or before you start building your projects, you might procrastinate. So you say you want to start building your own products, but you don't start right away. You wait 1 month, you wait 6 months, and you forget everything. And sometimes we do this because we think it's too complicated, and that is the honest truth. When you start building things, it's going to be very complicated. You will find problems that you think are not you are not able to solve, but you will solve it, and you will spend many hours trying to, but this is when the actual experience is gained, and you will be hit in the real life. So it's very important to stop procrastinating. Another reason that we procrastinate is because we take into account what other people might think if we fail. So put that thought aside and just start building in spite of how hard, how difficult things might be, or what other people might think, even including yourself. So as I said before, starting a project is one of the most important steps towards building your IT career. And why? So technology is built up on abstract ideas, and those are the most difficult ones for the brain to grasp. So that's why we need to build things. So it's very different to memorize something, to learn the colors in another language, because we make a visual representation in the brain. So abstract ideas need practice, and this means constant practice, not one day a week, no once every month. It requires constant practice. Aside that, when you make courses, you think you learn everything, and you learn one or two ways to solve one problem. But when you build projects, you will find different ways on your own way to solve those problems. So this is very important. You will also learn how to deal with your negative emotions, with frustration, maybe sadness, maybe you might want to feel like crying or give up. So this is also a training for that. Another thing is identify your weakest skill. So when you work in IT, you have different skills because you don't always work with one technology. You might work with 3, 2, even 5, depends on where you work. So you identify your weakest skill and you will work on it in your next iteration. And it builds valuable experience, as I mentioned before. So when you start learning, you will be in this stage. So you will start in the very bottom, you will make progress, you think that you are doing great, and then you hit a wall. And you think that you don't know anything, that everyone is better than you. And so it's important that when you are here in the lowest point, you don't give up. And you pick up yourself from that bad stage and make sure that you keep on going, because that's when your brain starts building up stronger knowledge for you to become proficient in one skill. So this is very important to take into account, that you will hit a wall, but you need to stand up again. So it's very important to share and learn from other people. So you can showcase your work. You might not put it into production, but you can put it somewhere so people can see your work. So the portals that I use the most are GitHub and GitLab. And here you don't only share your work, you also see work that other people have done and get in touch with open source code. So you will learn the best practices, how people that have many years of experience code, so you can take that, learn, and apply that for your next projects. And once you're done with all of this, it's very important to practice exercises for your interviews. So,
Please remember to keep your microphones off.
Okay, so here in these portals, I know there are more, but these are the ones that I have been familiar with. So let's say you want to apply for a certain job, and of course you will find a technical interview. And you think that all the courses, the things that you have built are enough. But unfortunately, most of the times this is not the case, especially if you want to apply for a good job. So you need to practice everything that you have learned. For competitive exercises And these portals, they offer you a very different set of exercises per topic. And for instance, Lead Code, you can pay in this platform, and you can see all of the interviews that, let's say, Facebook or Google, they make for all of the interviewers. So you can study that beforehand, so you prepare for your interview and make sure that you nail it and get the job. So once you feel prepared to apply to your jobs, it depends on the area you are. You can apply to multiples and make sure that you get positive responses, so you can choose between a set of opportunities and not settle for just one. So this is very important and very exhausting to apply to multiple opportunities, and make sure that you get the one that is the best for you, considering your design, which technologies you wanted to use, what role you wanted to be, and which one resonated with you the most in the first place. And that's it. I share, this is the URL of the talk. And if you scan this QR code, you will find all the set of resources that I shared with you. So here I put together everything that I've had in the slide. So this is the online education, the workshop that I know, the blogs that I use, the news in the communities, and all the research that I use for making this presentation. And thank you.
Great. Thank you, Carolina. Now we have a couple of questions for you. First, that some of you wrote, where can you find projects to actually work on? Not only exercises or learning code, but actually projects that you can work on.
Okay, so that's one of the hardest things. For instance, in my case, I decided to build my own projects. So I'm pretty sure in your life, you have things that you wish you had. In my case, I decided to build a housewarming party, like a gift list when you get married. So all my friends can choose from there what kind of gift they want to choose to give me. So instead of looking for projects to work on, it's good to work on the projects you want to work on. So you decide and design what project you want to have. So maybe choose one that you want in your life, maybe to classify the books you want to read, the movies you want to see. And there are many projects that you can design, or you can also volunteer. There are portals that they are looking for people who want to apply their knowledge, and you can volunteer there. You can volunteer in ONGs, in foundations that they don't have all the money and all the resources to pay a professional. So you can also volunteer besides building your own projects.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have another question. What have been the biggest challenges that you have encountered, especially as a woman in tech?
I think dealing with your own insecurities is one of the most challenging things, because sometimes you will find yourself doubting your knowledge, and you think of a solution, and you say, yeah, this is the solution. And then somebody comes by and he says, like, no, that's not how it's done. And at the end, you find out that your solution was fine. So doubting yourself is one of the biggest challenges as a woman, because I've seen this also a pattern between my female coworkers. But I also see that if you trust your knowledge, then you will get ahead. So yeah, that's one of the biggest.
Yeah, I think that all of us women can agree with that. We usually don't trust our intuition that strongly.
Yeah, and usually we are very well educated and we know about a lot of many things, but that will make you fail like crazy.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Carolina. It was a great started for this. Now we have some inspiration on tools where to find information and how can you choose your path here in tech.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Well, it's time to introduce our second speaker. She is Erika Sosa. She's a designer and content creator with more than 5 years of experience. She focuses on storytelling and helping people, so her goal has always been creating things that tell a story and truly contribute to the lives of others. Months ago, she decided to make a career change in UI and UX design. So, if you're people-oriented, creative, attentive to details, and a team player, this talk and maybe a career in the design side of the tech industry is for you. We will talk about UI, UX basics concepts and have a real view of what you need to become part of this. Go ahead, Erika.
Hello, can everybody hear me out? You can say something for the chat. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, now
Perfect.
you can start presenting.
Yeah, I will start. Okay. Let me. You can see this?
Yep.
Can everybody see the presentation?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm really happy to be here actually, and thanks to the team for inviting me and to all of you for attending. We are in a real weird time right now with the whole situation of the COVID-19, but I think if you want to learn something new or make a career change, you are in the perfect time for that. Before we start with our principal topic, I think you should know a little about who am I, how I found this path or this path found me. My name is Erika Sosa. I'm from Dominican Republic, which is a little island in the Caribbean, most famous for have some of the most beautiful beaches, our good baseball players, the merengue and the bachata. I'm a lifelong learner, so that means that I normally learn from these things I had to be involved with, and I try to apply that to my daily life. As a kid, I had a strong connection with art. I started with painting when I was just 5 years old. And I remember that at that time, drawings make a lot of more sense for me than words. So imagine how difficult it was for me learning how to read properly when I was convinced that that kind of communication doesn't make any sense. Try that as a parent, part of my parents. And then I started with acting, and a whole new world was open. And I wasn't just trying to communicate and explain myself as I used to do with the painting. Now I have to study, observe, and analyze other reactions and behaviors in order to perform different characters. And with that, started my love for writing. I had read and played some stories at the time, but I had many in my mind. So I started to write and write journals every day. I think the last one was because of the Disney movies I used to watch it as a kid. But then all these years with the watching others' behaviors and reactions make me realize the influence that the fashion have in our society. And I was so amazed of how these crazy styles started to be trend. So I decided to study fashion designer when I was 14 because I felt like fashion designers are dope. They say something is good and everybody believes them. How they do that? And yeah, I spent a year studying this, but then I realized that it wasn't the kind of things that I want to design. But I learned a lot. I learned all the design basics, and it was so good. The years passed by, and it was time for me to choose a career. And I just know four things about me at that time. I like people. I like communications. I like to help, and I like to create and design things. So at that time, I thought like, well, if you have just two of the four, it's okay. You can have the help and the people and be a doctor. But thanks God, it just spent like 1 month in my mind, and then I found a really cool career. They will teach me a lot of psychology in order to communicate with people. And I will have to communicate in the most artistic and clear way, which was so cool. Here, the part of help was a little off, but I thought, well, if I learn how to communicate, I will help eventually because it's part of my nature. And this is how I ended up uh, studying advertising and design. When I started learning how to design, my boyfriend at the time was studying software development. And he used to ask me what do I think would be the best solutions for his projects, how he can make his projects look better. And I used to sketch for him different design solutions. And this thing have like 7 years going on because I married this guy. uh, Before I finished my career, I got a job in the biggest bank of Dominican Republic. And after a lot of work, I ended up working as a user experience analyst, which I didn't know at the time, but it's just a fancy name for user researcher. Was pretty, sorry, was pretty cool. I learned a lot in this job. I have to investigate the experience of the customers when they receive every service, analyze how to make these experiences better, and pass this information to designers, managers, or to who was involved in every case. But at that time, I found out something about me. I can't be without create. I can be without create. Really, it is like I feel like that when I'm not creating. And because of that, I started my YouTube channel as a side project. And the last year, I create something that allows me to do all the things I had ever loved: painting, acting, storytelling, writing. And I create my first web TV show. It's called Millennials. It's on YouTube, and you can watch it if you want. But the thing is that at least when I finished my degree, the term UI, UX, or product designer wasn't common, and especially in Latin America. So I didn't know what was it about. And those who don't know are like those who not see. So I didn't know that I could do this kind of job until I knew what was it all about. And this is exactly what I want you to learn today. I want you to be aware of what is UI UX design. So what is UI UX designs, and what is that UI UX designers actually do? UX design stands for user experience design. In other words, the design of experience for users. An experience is every interaction a user has with a design. And a user is people like you and me, your mom, your dad, your technological challenge friend, A user can be anyone in the whole world. As you can imagine, that design products and interfaces for this many kind of people may be a challenge. And this is exactly why UX design and UX designers are so important. The term user experience was first used by a man called Don Norman in the 90s. And you surely can say that he's the dawn of the UX design. He was an electrical engineer and cognitive scientist at Apple, back before Apple became the tech giant it is today. He designs and promotes an user-centered design process that puts the needs of the users in the forefront of the project creation, a concept that was really unique at the time. He wasn't the first one in begin experimenting with the concepts behind the user-centered design, but his approach definitely was what helped it the blossom into fully fleshed the field, and with that started became the birth of the UX designers. Products built especially for take care of our needs sounds great, but what does that actually mean? And how in the world can someone design that? I think the best way to look at it is through examples. So I want you to think in something that you use every day in your life, something that is so easy to use, so easy that you don't have to think about it when you are using it. I will take a banana, for instance. The banana comes with their own case, making easy to carry around without getting your hands sticky. The case even acts as a freshness protector, keeping the fruit inside from going bad before you eat it. And as if weren't enough, the banana has its own built-in ripeness detector. When it's green, you know you have to wait a little longer. When it's brown, you know you waited too long. And when it's yellow, you know the banana is just right. But what about something that isn't so easy to use? Something that the users may not be so happy to use. Something with bad UX. There are plenty of examples out there, like this mug that can leave you blind. But I would take one of the famous examples is the Apple Magic Mouse 2. Sure, it was so beautiful, modern, and very useful as a mouse. But have you ever tried to charge this thing? For do it, you will have to plug in the button of the mouse. And it makes it impossible to use the mouse as it's being charged, meaning that you will have to let it sit for an hour before you could use it again. Not a great design choice for the users, especially those that work in an office and can let their mouses charging overnight. UX designers advocate for the users. They research, iterate, and test various design solutions in order to become with the easiest way for the user to use the products and to resolve the problem. Let's go back to the mouse example. Perhaps Apple didn't thought about how the users might use the mouse while it's charging. Or perhaps they didn't research a large enough group of people to identify this potential problem. The mouse is a pretty revolutionary tool. but without the input of the people that will use it, the users, it could never reach out to true potential. And it's the job of the UX designers to remind us that. Through by interviewing and surveying mouse users all over the world, the UX designers can learn about their charger habits and plan a convenient charging port before the initial designs are even drawn. But let's say they don't see this problem in the research phase. They could detect it through testing a low-budget prototype. And after receive this feedback, they could make the changes for the next release of the initial design. After all, UX design is all about helping people and solving problems. UI design. UI design is part of UX design. Often is confused, but they are no two different things. They are one part of the other. So UI design stands for user interface design. The UI design is more concerned with the surface and the overall feel of the design. UI design is the process of making interfaces and software or computerized devices with focus on looks or style. Designers aim to create designs users will find easy to use and pleasurable. Let me give you an example of a good UI design, one that I think most of us use every day. Instagram. What makes Instagram so easy to use is not just the good UX design, but it's the UI design what makes you want to stay in the app during more time. So what makes the UI design so good? Well, I will give you three elements of many. One, the elements such as buttons and other common elements perform predictably. Yeah, all the elements on Instagram works exactly like you expect. Like usually, if something goes wrong while you are using the app, you instantly convince yourself that you are doing something in the wrong way. Or at least I do. Okay, the number two is high discoverability. Instagram has a lot of options, but most of them are very clear for the users. They use universal symbols to indicate actions. And as if weren't enough, when they have a new feature, they usually try to announce it to the community. Now, number three is that they keep interfaces simple and create an invisible feel. And everything, or every element has a purpose inside the app. As the Instagram head of design, Ian Spalding said, while the icon is a colorful doorway into the Instagram app, once inside the app, we believe the color should come directly from the community's photos and videos. This gives us, the users, the feel of purpose inside the app. And everybody needs this feel in their life. A good UI designs make the software be likable. After all, like Alan Cooper said, if we want users to like our software, we should design it to behave like a likable person, respectful, generous, and helpful. Product designer. In the industry, you will find another name for the UI UX designer. This name is product design. I was searching for documentation about this, and I found out that the name of product designer is pretty new. About 2 years ago, the big tech from San Francisco that we all know, like Google, Facebook, all these giants, they started to change the names of their job description from UI UX designers to product designers. Why they do that? Well, in the documentary abstract, in, the head of Instagram design said that they do that because it's not just even about the UX, it's also the overall product strategy. So the name product designer, they feel like give the designers a better idea of what the company is expecting from them. UI UX design nowadays. We are so lucky because just like 2 weeks ago, Nielsen Norman Group released the User Experience Careers. It's the second edition of a study that interviewed and surveyed more than 700 UX professionals, and I think that can give us a really good example of how is the industry right now. These are some of the main findings. IT and software is the largest hiring industry. And maybe because of that, I'm doing this talk right now, because most of us here want to be inside the technology industry. So yeah, you will have a lot of opportunities if you try to be a UX designer. The second industry is finance, followed by insurance. 134 unique job titles relate to UX. So if you will never get bored in UX. There is always something to do. A large variety of backgrounds. And I think that was one of the things that makes me fall in love with UX design, is like it's so diverse. Like you can find a lot of kind of backgrounds. I think the only thing that most of backgrounds have in common are that most of them have a degree, but the degrees can be so different. I want to show you two profiles so you can see what I'm talking about. I take these profiles from the study too, and this is the profile of a UX designer nowadays. The top skill would be prototyping, visual designs, and research. The most desired skill is data analysis, and he will do prototyping and wireframing. But the curious thing here is the background. You will see a different kinds of degrees. You often in graphic design, product design, industrial design, digital media, visual communication, or fine arts. Like you can do a sum with all the different backgrounds. I had seen architects being UX designers, and they are excellent. Like if you can put your knowledge inside the basics of UX design, I think you can do it. Like if you have visual skills, you can do this work. The other profile that I want to share with you is the UX researcher. This one excited me a little because in the backgrounds, again, you can see a lot of different things that you don't often see in the technology industry. The top skill will be researching, writing, public speaking. The most desired skill is visual design. This is because you will have to explain your designs to your findings to the designers. But here you will see that often the degrees that work with that profile are psychology, sociology, anthropology, or humanities. Like if it's before was so difficult to find a psychologist working in the tech industry. So if you have some of these backgrounds, I think this is a great opportunity for you. Other findings were like UX practitioners are satisfied with their careers. They got a 5.4 in a scale of 1 to 7 in satisfaction, which is pretty good if you compare that with other careers. The soft skills are still the most important skill set in gaining a job. Sorry. Yeah, and that is so good because while the hard skills are desirables, hiring managers and UX practitioners alike see soft skills as a core requirement for the career in the career field. So let's see how to start. I have some slides here that say like what you should do for a start, but I think in the last talk, like Carolina said, like everything, like she really show you guys what you should do to start a career in IT. But basically, if you want to be a UI UX designer and you don't have the basics of design, I would say like start to studying the basics of design. If you can start, if you already have a degree in the backgrounds that I mentioned before, you can start to look out for the concepts of UX design. But if you live here in Sweden, we have a really cool college. It's called Hyper Island, and they have a UX program that seems pretty cool, and it takes just 2 years. So, and it would be like free. So you should do it if you want to. If you want to be a UX designer, that seems pretty cool. But you can start looking out all the concepts in different platforms like Skillshare, Udemy, and even on YouTube. On YouTube, there are a lot of top UX designers that are so excited for share their knowledge with you. So you can start there. Investigate and try to learn the most used tools in the field. I think these three are so important. They are many, but these three are so important. They are Figma, Sketch, and InVision. Figma and Sketch are designing tools that I think will be so useful, and InVision is more for work as a group. But I think if you know some of these tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, or even Canva, will be so easy to use to learn how to use these ones because the UX the UX that they have is so good, so makes all so familiar. Practice. Yeah, I think the way to learn how to do something is doing it, as Carolina said too. So there is this page, it's called dailyui.com. You can subscribe there, and they will send you a challenge for every day for 100 days. So you will have things to practice every day. It's pretty cool. The challenges are not so hard. So it's like they could send you to make a login page for a fitness app or something like that. So it's good for you, so you can build your own portfolio and you can practice every day. Stay inspired, stay trying to see what the other designers are doing, and try to be always curious of what is new. As Carolina said, try to build your little community and try to stay with people that are interested in what you are doing. I'm here for you if you need anything. This is my Instagram, so you can go there. We will have a little time for questions, but if you have any question in a few months or anything, I'm here for you because I think we are in this together, and I think we can do it. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Erica. That was great. Well, do we have some questions from
Yeah.
the audience? What are the challenges that you have encountered from the design side to communicate with the development team? Is there anything that any experience that you will like to tell us from that part when you're a designer, you're more creative, and then you go and try to communicate all of this with the tech side, with the developers?
Yeah, I think that sometimes can be difficult, but if your design has the UX basics, like you are really thinking about the product and the users, eventually the developers will understand because we have the same like goal. So for me, I haven't like find like it is a challenge, but it's not like a big challenge because it's part of the work. And I think it's one of the skills that the hiring managers will look at in you when you are looking for a job, that you can communicate effectively with the software developers.
Okay. Okay, and we have another question that is, how was your experience looking for a job here in Sweden? Or we have people from other parts. So how was your experience looking for a job as an immigrant woman?
Well, here I'm still in this phase, but it has been great. I think here we have a lot of opportunities. I don't see the fact that I'm a woman or that I'm an immigrant as a challenge or as a barrier for share my knowledge and be professional in this country. So I haven't seen this that like a bad thing.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Erica, for your talk. It was great having some knowledge and some insight to UI UX. And now we want to give it a go for our third speaker. His name is Guillermo Rodas. He has worked mostly as a front-end developer on many UI UX projects and currently works at Klarna. However, don't hesitate in asking him about architecture, brainstorming, product design, or even about how to learn new things every day. He also enjoys mentoring and connecting with the tech community, has given a full-stack JavaScript bootcamp at World Tech Makers, recorded 4 online courses for Platzi, and is mentor for Pioneers Dev and Data Science Fed. He is also a Google developer expert in web technologies, organizer of CSS Colombia and Medellin CSS. So if you're worried about how to become a good full-stack JavaScript engineer, you don't know where to start, what to study or research, what to avoid, this talk will cover all the information that you need to know in order to become a successful full-stack JavaScript engineer. We will explore from the technical to the soft skills that will help you achieve this goal. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Alejandra. Let me share my screen. Yes, think, I think you can see my screen now. Or yes,
Yes.
maybe. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Alejandra, for that introduction. Yes, as you say, this talk is about how to succeed as full stack JavaScript engineer. I think since you made the introduction, this is not necessary. I think it's it's more than understood. So let's go to the agenda. So the agenda is pretty simple. Maybe you are asking yourselves, why should I succeed as a full stack JavaScript engineer? And for that, I think it's very important to first understand why JavaScript. So that's why I'm going to like talk about these topics, like why the web, why JavaScript, why full stack, how to succeed finally, and then we'll be jump to the questions. So the first question is why the web. So I think you are pretty familiar what is the web right now, but I like to share you some data. So you can see like how is the growing of the individuals that have used internet from the last 3 months. Um, and it can be any source, like can be a computer, can be a mobile phone, can be a personal system, gaming, TVs right now has access to internet, and a lot of devices have it. So as you can see, has been growing exponentially, like through the world. That is like this last part, like more than 40% of the world has been like using internet for the last 3 months. And Sweden is I think is one of the most countries that has access to internet. So it's I think it's pretty normal that more than the 80% of the people has access to internet at least of the 3 months. But we also have noticed that of course, European Union, United States, and even Colombia as a Latin American, country, has more than the average in the world. And then we can check this same graphic for the mobile phones. So this is also important because most of the days, more and more people is going to internet through a mobile phone. I know that in India, it's like most of the way that they connect into internet is via a mobile phone. Because if you are going to spend some money in a mobile phone because you need to communicate, now smartphones is the thing that you need to use. Why not use it as your primary source to consume internet? So as you can see, this is even growing much faster than the internet itself. So the same like the world, like this is like the subscriptions counts per 100 people. So in the world in general, it's more the average. And same as the previous graphic, we can see it reflected as how behaves in Sweden, European Union, States, and in this special case, I didn't have Colombia, and maybe they don't have the data, but it has Latin America and Caribbean, so it's pretty similar. And I wanted talking about the mobile cellular subscriptions because, of course, well, you don't need it. You don't really need it. Have a mobile cellular subscription for this. But if you want, to connect in any part of the world, maybe you need it. But mostly we can, join any Wi-Fi, in your homes, in some malls, or in your work, or wherever we have a lot of free Wi-Fi spots. I'm talking about this because internet and the web has connected people. And the reality is if we want to achieve great things, we want to build great stuff, we need to do it with other people. So this African proverb that says that if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that's really, really true. I always talking about this, like if you want to be like really, really great product, you must have a team. You must have a team that it will help you to build a great product or service. That's necessary because every person is a unique universe, and every person have a set of skills that will help you to succeed with this product or service, or any project that you have in your mind. And this is sounds unrelated, but I really like this tech talk that I recommend. It's called "Are We Born to Run?" And I have the reference to this talk because I don't want to give you a spoiler, of course, but what it's in some point what it explains is like some time ago, our brain as a humans grow really big, right? It has a really it has to grow, and for that growing, for have this mass of brain that make it what we are right now, we have the need to eat animals, right? We have to need the animals. But what is curious is like it's just like really long time after that this thing happened with our brains that we discovered the way to make weapons. So in this talk, he explains why are we on to run, and most important, we need to do it as a team, right? So it's the same. So from the very beginning, from our ancestors, the way they have this success in the life is doing it as a team, connecting with society, working as a group. So that's why I put this in this topic. Another reason why the web is really great, a part of way to connect people and everything, is because the web is an open platform. Everything in the web is open. Anyone can use it. And that's super important because we're in a world that, you have licenses, you have like so many restrictions, but the web is not like that. The web is an open platform. And every part that is in the web that is not open, always there is someone that thinks, hey, we should, make this version as an open platform because it's, if it's open, everyone can collaborate and everyone can, create more technologies faster than will help everyone. So this is one of the most important things. Even, I remember that there was a bug in the SS protocol that is basically when you visit a website, normally you see there is like a log in the URL of the website, and you will see that, okay, this website is secure. I remember like a long time ago, someone discovered a book, and the only reason that someone discovered this bug in this protocol was because someone, since it's open source, someone from Google was like checking the code, let's review it, let's see how it was, and he discovered. And that's that's the importance of the open platform. So then, why JavaScript? Well, I have a few reasons. One of those that I like the most is JavaScript is one of the easiest programming language to learn. I researched, like try to do a quick research about what are the easiest programming language to learn, and unfortunately I don't find any true source, but most of them in the top 3 language, it was JavaScript there. And I speaking for my own experience. I have experience with other languages like PHP, like Java and Python. I definitely believe that JavaScript was the easiest programming language to learn. And this is because also it's really easy to start right now. I'm pretty sure that you use browsers, to surf the web, right? You use Google Chrome, maybe Firefox, maybe Internet Explorer, and start using JavaScript is as easy as just, if you have a MacBook, you can press Command Alt I, or even it's easier to just right click and inspect. When you open this console that you can see here in this example, this is the console and you can like write JavaScript right there. And that's super useful because if you want to learn sometimes a language, you need to, you need to download the language, you need to download some server environment, you need to download some tools. But with JavaScript, you can just do it right now in your browser. So that's amazing. And then, of course, the web uses JavaScript. So that's why JavaScript is super important. And I'm going to talk about why the web uses JavaScript and how it does it in a minute. But another important thing is JavaScript can be used in the server side. So what is this server side and what is this client side, right? Because if there is a server side, maybe we have a client side. So I don't want to go into the details, but basically when you visit a website, any website, let's say meetup.com, this lives in a server. There is a server, there's basically a computer that's connected to internet, but the client is your laptop or your PC, right? It's whatever you use to navigate, can be your mobile phone, can be your TV, that's the client. So, currently, for the server side, for client side, there are some languages. The truth is, for the client side, we just have JavaScript and WebAssembly. But WebAssembly is used for some specific cases, and it's something like it's pretty new, and of course it's working, but it's not like the purpose for use. It's not like there is no like a purpose for use as a programming language, like a main programming language for the web. The real thing is JavaScript, like the main programming language there. But then JavaScript was the only programming language that lives in the client, but it didn't live in the server before. So for the server, you have language like PHP, Java, C++, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, and now we have Node.js. Node.js has been a language for a long time. It's super mature. A lot of companies are using, and that language uses JavaScript. And this is super important in the part of talking about the full stack, because when I explain what is the full stack, we need to remember this part, because JavaScript is basically the only language that can run in the server and in the client. So if you know JavaScript, pretty much you can build anything. And that's what I'm talking about. Like JavaScript can be used in any place. I say JavaScript with an asterisk because it's not just JavaScript. It's like a set of web technologies. But as a programming language, JavaScript is who gives us the power. So we can create desktop applications with some framework called Electron. What is a desktop application? A desktop application is any app that you use, in your computer. Like let's say Paint or Microsoft Word, or the email, or even the browser is a desktop application. So it's pretty awesome, because if you know JavaScript, you know web technologies, you can build a desktop application right now. You can use Electron to do it. A lot of companies are doing that. For instance, Atom, VS Code Editor, Slack, Discord, maybe you are familiar with, are applications that are built with web technologies. They are built with JavaScript. Also, if you want to build mobile apps, the apps that you can install in your cell phone, you can use something like React Native. We have another alternatives, but let's say React Native is one of the famous ones, and there are so many apps built with React Native, and that means it's built with JavaScript and web technologies. For instance, Facebook, Instagram, even Pinterest and Skype has been built with React Native, and this is awesome because it's JavaScript. So JavaScript now. You have the need to build desktop apps or mobile apps. You can use that knowledge to build this kind of apps. And even more, you can also even get into robotics and Internet of Things. Internet of Things is this whole area when you can build things for your home, like like this. Let's say Alexa or Google Assistant, or let's say I want just click my click my fingers, and then I will have my lights like turn blue, or when I leave, I want the lights to off. Or every technology related with stuff, like you can say stuff, things that connect to internet, right? Like the freezer, the TV, etc. We can use JavaScript for that, and there is a library for that called Johnify that has supports many different devices that are related with the Internet of Things and robotics, like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, Intel Edison, and a lot of them. And that can be built with JavaScript. So that's like why JavaScript is so important right now. So why I want to be a full stack? This is some discussions around, and it's the same discussion talking about what is a generalist versus a specialist. Some people says, I prefer being a generalist because I can know everything, and etc. Or I prefer being a specialist because if I'm a specialist, of course, I have the proper answer for that thing. But you can think about this as a doctor. First, I think if you want to be, a specialist doctor, you have to be some general knowledge. And this is a mistake. And this is probably one of the first things that you have to take into account to become a successful JavaScript engineer, or even if you want to be a specialist, at some point you should start as a generalist, because if you are just a specialist in just one thing, you are missing like the whole point. I mean, it's pretty cool, to code. You need to solve stuff. You need to make this specific part. But if you don't know how to work the whole picture, you are missing a lot of important things, because finally we are building a product, we are building a service, we are building a project. We need to think about everything. If you have been developed a product before, any side project, any entrepreneurship, you need to think about everything, and always you forget about some stuff. And that's why it's so important, of course, have a team of specialists, but it's always take into account this generalist part. So my advice is, you should start as a generalist, and eventually you can become a specialist. And this is pretty awesome, because as a generalist you can detect what is the thing that you like the most, and then you can discover, okay, maybe I like this part, or maybe I don't like this part. And then you say, oh, this is pretty awesome, I feel so inspired to to explore this part. So that's why I still say, even if you want to be a JavaScript specialist, you should discover and practice with other languages. Maybe your team is not JavaScript, maybe your team is Python. And of course, there is some rules, like if you are going to do data science, definitely go to Python, and definitely but the only way to know that is because you explore this general part. You explore the different things. So normally when we talk about full stack in the web, we talk about know about front end, know about back end, and know about DevOps. Front end is just all related to the client side, all the things that we saw, right? All the things that we see, all the things like the UI, the buttons, if it's nice or not, it's like the user interface. And the backend part is about the data. It's about all the business logic. So when you visit a page and you fill a form, click submit, and this form is going to a server and it's going to process the data, and then you receive an email, that's the backend. And finally, the DevOps is all related to infrastructure. As I said before, in the server, it's just a computer connected to a network that is exposed to the internet. So normally when you want to develop a full application, you need to take into account that this needs to be in a server, there needs to be resources, there needs to be deployed, etc. And there is a lot of terms that I don't want to get confused about, but normally a full stack means this. And we are going to explore what is necessary to reach this. So at the end, you can be a specialist focusing in JavaScript. And the good news is that you use JavaScript as your language for the web. I mean, at the end, for the front end, you need JavaScript. Remember that graphic that we saw before with the client and the server side? And we saw that in the client, you just have JavaScript and WebAssembly. So at the end, if you want to be into the web, you need to know JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, why not have this same knowledge in the backend? That's why I decided to move to full JavaScript, because before I used to do Java and PHP, and I realized I want to be an expert, and a specialist. Learn two different languages is going to be really hard, because every language is its own word, and every language has so many things. So yeah, it's important to know about it. But if I move to JavaScript, in this full stack scenario, I have basically 80% done, because I know JavaScript, I know what are the things, what are the tricks. So if you use JavaScript, you can use it for the front end and for the back end, and you have 80% done for build a product or a service. So now let's talk about how this is it. So this is really some of the stuff that we're going to talk right now. It's pretty similar what Carolina at the beginning said. It's pretty similar, and I am glad, because that means that we are, super connected. Of course, some things work better for others, but in general, there are some little tricks that you can find, and yeah, definitely we are in the same tonic. So the first thing is you need to learn how to learn, because you need to learn every day new things. It's important, learn how to learn. Sometimes people get difficult. Sometimes people get distracted. You procrastinate, as Carolina said. So you need to find what is the best way for you to learn. It's not the same for everyone. I can pretty sure for that. People prefer, learn in a busy environment. People prefer learn in a quiet environment. People prefer seeing videos, or they prefer to read the stuff. You need to discover that, and that's your first, your first step. There is a course in Coursera that has the same title, like Learning How to Learn. That can help you. I can recommend you this course. But eventually, you will find it. I mean, it's just practice and practice. You need to to find what is the way that you can learn. Maybe you can learn taking notes. Maybe you can learn drawing. Maybe, you need to figure out that. And that's super important because technologies run really fast. And if you don't study, you don't learn things every day, you are going to become like we call a dinosaur. I know a lot of people that has been, in technology many 40, 20 years, I don't know, and they just know the same technologies like long time ago. And the problem is you don't, you don't get updates or what else the new technology, you are going to get behind because technology runs really fast. Just think about this. How long the mobile smartphones has been in our lives. Now it's like a pretty long time, like just like maybe 12 years, something like that. But that's just a little amount of time. Like imagine 12 years ago, nobody thought about the smartphones, and now it's like the standard thing, right? So what is going to happen 10 years next? There are going to be amazing things. So we need to be in the catch, to be study all the time, and that's why it's so important. Learn how to learn. My second advice is join a bootcamp. A bootcamp is like this format where you are going to learn how to code like in a really, really short period. I recommend this short period should be at least 2 months bootcamp. That should be enough. Of course, it should be like daily, maybe 2-3 hours daily. You will, attend this bootcamp. Hopefully, you can join a 6 months bootcamp. That would be awesome because for sure you are going to become a really full stack. It can be pretty intense, it can be really difficult, but it's like the best way to just jump out into the business and start going right now. Some of the bootcamps are free, some of the bootcamps you have to pay. Maybe some of them have arrangements like, okay, just get the bootcamp for free, but then you can pay me after you find a job. There are a lot of bootcamps that you can find out. Maybe you don't have the resources, or maybe you don't have the time to search for a bootcamp. I have here in this presentation, probably I will share this with you later, maybe in the meetup group, where we can find some, some guidance and some roadmaps and resource to start, your career as a developer. So there is this first one that I like it really much, is the developer roadmap. This is an example of how looks the front end part, but they have it for backend and for the devils. And it's pretty nice because this guy who made this basically has like this little pad and has like the basics, like, okay, first you need to know about internet, and this is the thing that you must know, this is the thing that you should know, and this is the thing that maybe will be nice, or this is all the variants. So it's a pretty awesome developer roadmap. You definitely need to check it out. And then of course this is just the information of the roadmap, but are you thinking, well, okay, now I know when I need to study, but what about the resources? What can I study about that? So there is this other resource called Web Skills, where basically they list everything web skill, and if you click in these icons, you will see like a lot of links, a resource, and a different websites where we teach you about this stuff for free. So there's a lot of documentation about the web, since the web is open. So this is a really complement for the roadmap. Finally, there is this thing called Front-End Developer Handbook. This is, I find out wrong, this is from Front-End Developer Masters. It's a website that has some courses. And this is very nice because even if it's called Front-End Developer Handbook, they have information even about the internet, information about how the servers, and it's pretty awesome. As I said before, in some point, if you want to be really good, you need to have a general concept. You need to learn about general concepts, about servers, about front-end, back-end, DevOps, etc., etc. So it's not just as a UI, right? It's not just a JavaScript. You need to know about how everything connects and how everything works, because that will make you a better developer. My third advice, it will be grow your networking. So you're starting to doing a pretty good job just joining this meetup, because that's one of the things that you definitely need to do. You need to join conference, meetup, study groups, because again, everything is about people. And if you have good connections, you for instance can easily get a job. Because one of the most important things to find your first job is the attitude. I think is the attitude, because If it's your first job, everyone knows that maybe you are lacking for some skills, you need some experience, that is normal. But that's only is going to work pretty well if you have a really great attitude. And it's, someone that, detect this attitude that you have, and maybe this person works in a really nice company, can, give a referral of you. And I think this is the easiest ways to get a job. If you are a referral from someone that is really good, probably, of course, you need to do a lot of assessments and interviews and skill practice and some tests. But I mean, you have the doors open, and that's really important. Of course, your networking can help you to find mentors and find people to study, and if you have questions and everything. So, don't miss this part. Maybe you are so shy to talk with people, but let's give it a try. Even I myself, that I'm a conference organizer and a meetup organizer, sometimes I'm really bad at this, and I know that I need to improve this. And then my fourth advice is, like, the best way to learn. Of course, you have this methodology to learn how to learn. To learn is with real experiences, and for that you need to find a job. So definitely, it's pretty cool that you are studying, you are like doing a lot of projects and stuff. But definitely, the only way that you are really going to learn is with a job, because you are going to have a real problem. And with real problem, you are going to have, you are going to make mistakes, and you are going to have really learnings because those mistakes, and these are experiences that are going to, be in your mind forever. But always keep a side project. That's pretty important, because unfortunately, business and companies relies on one technology, let's say JavaScript. But again, as I say, technology runs fast. The day of tomorrow is not JavaScript. Maybe it's Megascript or something like that. And the problem is, in the company, they are not going to change the product and the services to your Megascript, because that costs time and money. So it's always important, and this will be my 5 advice, that you need to always keep a side project. Can be something small, can be something big, whatever. But always, this side project is the opportunity, to try new technologies, to try the things that you are going to learn. So, giving this advice, I think after you have joined a bootcamp, or you have started studying and doing some little projects, my recommendation is, if you are looking for a job, the recommendation is, like, it should be a startup. Why it should be a startup? Of course, a small startup, because the startup is small. The startup is having so many problems to resolve, that you are going to learn. You are going to learn with the startup, and if the startups grow, you are going to grow as well. And remember, when I say, maybe you must like start as a generalist and then eventually go to the specialist way. This is the best part to do that, because the startup, unfortunately, they need to do so many things, and they have so few people, that this is going to be a good opportunity to find out why you like it and to learn about everything. Then your second job should be something when you can put in practice your specialist skills. With the previous experience in that startup, maybe you are going to find out, okay, definitely what I like the most is is databases, right? So your second year will be to put in practice that. So of course, you need to study, you need to get some knowledge, but this is going to be the chance to grow these skills as a specialist. And then your third job can be anything that you want. I mean, just have like big dreams. I mean, if you do that, you have done a pretty good job in your previous jobs. Of course, this is like, okay, this is not like, okay, I'm just going to have just 2 jobs. Maybe the first startup job, the startup just getting to bankrupt or whatever. So maybe it's not just 2 jobs. Maybe it's 2, 3 jobs. But take into account, like, the first jobs are going to be with that purpose, and then the jobs after that are going to be with the purpose of the specialist. But eventually, when you feel like these requirements, you can be anything that you want. No more important is find a mentor, because sometimes can be a mentor as a reference, can be someone that you follow, can be someone that can be someone that and this is a good opportunity to use your network. You can find one there. Developer community is very open to help, so don't be afraid to ask to help. Why a mentor? Because someone is going to be better than you always, and so or you are going to be better than other person, and it's really important to receive advice and receive help. So don't be afraid if you have a mentor that will help you a lot, to jumping up into your successful career. You maybe you don't know a mentor, you can ask me for help. I have in my website some of my networks like Twitter. My direct messages are always open. You can say me, hey, I saw you talk here and I want to like some advice. I am always open to help. um that's it. So I think we can jump into the questions.
Guillermo, thank you so much. It was a great talk. Now we know more about the JavaScript universe. That is really a gigantic universe. So we have a couple of questions for you. One of them is, you as a man, how do you see the gender equality in the tech field?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that depends on the man, of course. But as Guillermo wrote us, it's really sad because, of course, we have a lot of inequality, and I think like every person has too much to offer, and it's so sad that we are lacking opportunities. And I really appreciate these things that are doing, because this is a way to help with that, with that inequality. That so yeah, if you ask me, I think we still have a lot of work to do, and hopefully, I'm trying to help, to afford like my little help to that. But yeah, that would be.
Okay, yeah. Another question that we have, when we mentioned in your introduction that you are a Google developer expert, can women become Google developer experts? Is it allowed to? Is it open for women? How does it
Yes,
work?
of course, and we have a lot of women as Google Developer Expert. So Google Developer Expert is a program from Google, when basically they will support you with, they have a lot of benefits. One of those is like, if you are requested to give a talk in another country in your region, they will provide you, the tickets, the flight tickets, and the hotel. Also, one of the advantages is like there is a yearly meeting, where all Google Developer Experts are in this meeting. It's called the Google Developer Expert Summer. You can, grow your network, and you can find another developer experts and talk with them and share experience and etc. The advantages that has to be a Google Developer Expert is you have content. You have privileged content. You have content from Google that is like confidential. Even you sign up NDA, right? No disclosure agreement, because you are going to receive confidential information. It's not like super secret, super secret confidential information. It's more like, okay, in 2 months we are going to launch this tool. What do you think about it? Give us feedback. And then this is pretty cool, because if you are in technology, you definitely want to know that. I am a Google developer in web technologies, but there are other categories. There are categories like DevOps. There are categories like, I forget about it, but like for example, G Suite. Yeah, they have a lot of categories. For join as a Google developer expert, you need two things basically. You need to be referred by another Google developer expert, and that's something like is kind of bad because it's like a closed network. But now you know me, right? So we can have a talk. If you think you are going to be a really good Google developer expert, talk to me. I can refer you. But okay, and again, like maybe expert sounds like a really like big word, but it's most if you are into community, you like to talk, you like to share knowledge, you are qualified to be a Google developer expert. And after that, you have like 2 interviews, and that's it. It's like an interview with another Google developer expert, and then an interview with a Googler, and then you will pass the process. So yeah.
And we have a last question that it is, I have seen this question in many types of workshops and things, and it's kind of like a battle in the full stack field. But what do you recommend? Because now that we're entering in technology, a lot of people, especially coding, go into frameworks once in the beginning of their careers without learning maybe the basics. So what do you recommend for us that are very eager to find the first job, their first experience, and then just jump into a framework or tools, and maybe you kind of miss the basics, the JavaScript basics in this case, or yeah. So what do you recommend us?
Well, that's also a pretty good question. And to be honest, when I started with JavaScript, I didn't know that I was doing JavaScript. I started with jQuery. jQuery is a library, total JavaScript. And I think that's fine. Like sometimes it's easier to go into frameworks, and probably I would recommend that because frameworks as are made are for that, for do easy things. But the thing that I recommend the most is never forget that you need to learn the basics eventually. Because yes, of course, you can use a framework for create a website, super easy and everything, and that's fine. Definitely, that's fine because you want to know you like it, you want to know how everything works. But over the time, my recommendation is go to the basics. Not just do courses, watch courses. It's also important to read books. I think courses are good. They help us to jump into the job right now. But books, when you read a book, you really, really know this, deep knowledge about everything. So I recommend over the time, it's fine to start with frameworks, and even that's the way that I recommend to start. Don't get into the basics because the basics can be crazy. Like you can start reading stuff that you don't know why, and you are super frustrated because it's like I just want to do a website where I need to read about how the computer works. So yeah, my recommendation is it's fine. You can start with frameworks and stuff, but eventually, if you want to be a specialist, you definitely should start to revisit these basics.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Guillermo. Thank you for the talk, and thank you to all the speakers. Now, we want to invite you to the Community Speedrun Challenge of Google. It's an online training program that will start on May 4th and run through the whole month, where attendees will have the opportunity to join 4 speedruns and get hands-on experience with machine learning on Google Cloud, TensorFlow, and take your first steps with tools like BigQuery, Cloud Speech API, and Cloud ML Engine, all while scoring points and winning prizes. So please check in our meetup group, the link for this webinar if you're interested in machine learning and AI. So last, we want to thank the organizer team, of course, for making this possible, the meetup community for the interest on this talk, and last but not least, you guys, you attendees, for joining us in this workshop, joining this amazing community of women who really, we just want to uplift each other, who wants to see more and more of us in technology and design, and contribute to the gender equality in all STEM fields. Last, we want you, our members, please suggest ideas for more of these talks, workshops, and speakers. For sure, we will do workshops with more technical topics, more specific ones. So please suggest more ideas, speakers, whatever you have in mind, and any feedback that you have. So thank you so much, and see you at the next talk. Stay safe and stay home. Bye, guys.